I might see it, and like I'm still human. You know what I mean? So would you say that to someone's face too?
No, yeah.
And I feel like that's the tricky thing about social media. That can be, it's such a blessing. It can be such a curse because you can say anything behind that screen.
Kick those tires and start that fake fire. It's time to camp. Today we welcome the youngest camper we've ever had to the campfire. She is an actress, she is an author, she even has her own clothing line. She starred in hit films such as A Bridge to Terabithia and TV shows like The Good Witch and The Wizards of Waverly Place. She also has done all this by the age of 21. So please prepare to question all your life decisions as we welcome to the campfire Miss Bailee Madison.
That was really well done.
Oh, thank you.
I was involved.
That is actually, Mark will say that is the highlight of each show, is the 1 minute of our intros, and after that it's a steep decline.
Yeah, especially because you have me as your guest. So.
No, we're very excited to have you as a guest. You actually, it's interesting, it was not planned when we originally scoped out to do this show, but you are the third wizard and or witch who has been on this show. In fact, you've been in 2 wizardly or magical programs.
I have. I 100% have. I love that so much. Like, you've had obviously David Henry and Greg Sulkin on the show. I like adore them and have known them since I was really, really tiny and little. But yeah, I guess I'm always kind of in some sort of wizard or
I think we may need to pivot at some point. Maybe we can get Daniel Radcliffe and anyone who has played any wizard role whatsoever should come on the show.
You're like, well, Bailee from Wizards is on it, so Harry Potter.
We got.
He'll come on surely, right?
I know, some sort of crossover.
You should have
him.
I would love that. I was really late to the Harry Potter, phenomenon. Yeah, I've just now I think watched all of them.
Do you know how it ends? Because I don't want to.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay, we can talk.
But
more.
I do know that I know.
Okay. Now since we are camping here, and welcome to our camp set.
Thank you.
So you are from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how does camping work in a state where it rains every 10 minutes? There are basically modern day dinosaurs, and there are alligators roaming around.
They're massive.
And I'm assuming lots of mosquitoes.
Yeah, there are, and they love me.
Okay.
They love me.
So do you camp? What do you do for nature?
I don't camp.
Okay, so you don't camp.
I don't like camping.
All right, so Fort Lauderdale, what's your relationship with the outdoors then?
This is my kind of camping.
Okay.
This is perfect. This is great. No, I haven't seen a bug in sight. I'm like living right now. No, it's I started working when I was really quickly when I was younger. So I feel like all my friends were doing things like Indian Princess, which is this thing that girls will do with their dads, and they go and they camp, and it's a really big thing in Florida. And so all my my cousins were doing, all my friends in school. I never got to do that because I was on set, so I lived kind of vicariously through their stories. But my Florida nights it was less camping and more everyone was outside for a game of football, and then you'd run out and you'd get in the pool, and then you would play wiffle ball in the pool. But my family's very competitive. So, I'd be 7 years old playing football outside and, get freaking just, pushed in, the street. My knees are ripped, and I'm like, I'm gonna tackle, you. So, it was, it was intense games, but that was our Florida. It was just sports all the time. We loved it.
And you have 6 siblings?
Yeah, so my mom and my dad only had me. Never got married, best of friends, but before they had me and got together, my mom had 3 others with her husband at the time, and my dad with his wife at the time also had 3 others. So I'm the youngest of all of them.
Wow.
It is. It's a big family, and a whole lot of love, and could be an ABC sitcom if you wrote it.
Oh, wow. You're a few short of fielding an entire football team. But,
yeah.
Got a good,
but then you add in now all the grandkids and the nieces, because I'm the youngest by, my sister and I are 13 years apart.
Wow.
So, they're all in a totally different chapter. So now we've got too many football teams.
Now, tell me about, is it country, eggs, and ham, Or
Oh my God! Yeah, I could cry. Country. Okay, so this is where this. Oh, it's so sad. Now they're not there anymore. They had to move forever ago. There's this whole thing with the rent. Country Ham and Egg. It was this little breakfast spot that I went to all the time in Fort Lauderdale. And it was like a 5-minute walk from my house, right on the beach. It's like little shop, and oh my gosh, used to go there all the time. Like Christmas mornings when no one was awake, and my brother would like stay up to catch Santa, of course, for me, and I'd find him like asleep under the tree. He'd like go, and we'd have chocolate milk at Country Ham and Egg, and oh, I loved them. So they moved to a different place, and I still know them. I have a waffle on their menu, actually, that they named after me.
What is the Bailee Madison waffle?
It is a Belgian waffle, and then Nutella, strawberries, whipped cream. So it's really good for you.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. We
Yeah.
should have catered that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Come
So
on,
it's just like a
guys.
classic diner. You got a booth, and like
Yeah.
a big old plastic menu, and
Yeah, it is. It was that big old plastic menu, and it was like, the little spiral chairs right at the front, and you
Oh.
can see the chefs, they peek their heads out, in that little window.
those are great.
But the special thing is the owners of that went and they moved, and they have this really big new restaurant that's also by the house. But some of the old staff stayed to try and keep this breakfast spot still charming and have that feeling. 'Cause it's a small hometown, it's
Yeah.
family. So I was actually just in there a couple weeks ago and got to see, the chefs, and they're all like, Bailee. I'm like, how you guys doing? And I mean, they've seen me. They've literally watched me grow up. So, yeah. Aw, I love that.
I know everyone's got to have a good diner. Got to have a classic diner. You gotta
Yeah,
go
that was
to,
mine. Yep.
So you got a very quick start. I'd like to talk a little bit about your acting ascent here. I believe it was you were 2 weeks old
Yeah.
when you booked your first commercial. So you're basically an infant at that point.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do they work out compensation when you're an infant? Do they have is there a sort of newborn union
That's a
you're
great
doing?
question. I don't know.
Where did that money go? I mean, it's Office Depot, right?
I need to figure this out.
I mean, there could be
Now
some
I'm
change
mad.
sitting somewhere. Do they pay you in a bond?
Yeah, I'm been like honestly probably like baby toys. You know what I mean? They're like just throw her a pacifier.
I know 2 weeks. That's pretty. I mean, we
Yeah.
have people who've tried to. I have friends who've tried to book commercials for 10 years, and so you were out of the womb, and I think about a few days at home.
Yeah, a few
and
days
you'd
at
book-
home.
yeah.
Well, I have my mom to thank for that.
How does that happen? Did she like submit? Is she submitting you right away?
No, so my mom was like the commercial queen of like South Florida. So she did over like 500 national commercials. Like she was a booker. I'm sorry, Mom. And then
Wow.
I came along, and then she had to go on the road with me.
A booker.
But no, I'm honestly like props to her. She has her fourth kid, and 2 weeks later is like on a set filming again. But they needed a baby for the commercial, and she was like, "Well, I just had a baby, and I don't want to leave her at home." Smart businesswoman.
Hey, that's right. Way to seize opportunity.
And so then I was in the Office Depot commercial. Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. Can you imagine?
Well, you're only 21, so it actually was yesterday. I mean, relatively speaking, right?
In
Wow.
a way.
Okay, so you're already out of the gate booking a commercial, and then how did you actually? It's a cool story where you actually got brought onto a audition with your sister, right?
Yeah,
Tell
that's
us about that.
exactly. So for a couple of years after my Home Depot,
You went through a
experience-
dry. You didn't book anything after
Well,
that.
I did a SeaWorld commercial actually. I did a few Disney commercials.
Oh my gosh, you
Um,
got to check on where that funding went.
Like my brother, call my brother up. No, but I used to. So my sister was an actress too, and then made the decision when it was time for college that she wanted to go and get her degree in finance, and so that was really, really important to her. But before that period, I used to go to New York with my mom and my sister when they would go out for, pilot season or commercials or whatever. And I remember like trying to unbuckle myself out of my stroller to like crash their auditions. Like I do remember that. But then one day she had an audition in Orlando. So we drove up and she went in. It was for this movie called Lonely Hearts, and it was with John Travolta and Salma Hayek and Jared Leto, James Gandolfini. And so she went in for it, and she was, again, 13 years older, so totally different role. And when they came out, they were like, "Does your little sister act?" And they said, "I don't know," which they didn't, and I didn't know either. I don't remember this. I remember my sister's face, but I don't remember this part. But I guess I couldn't read, so she went and read it with me. And if you ask her, she says that she looked at me, I guess, and was like, "Yeah, go in." So I went in. I remember the audition room, like I actually really do, and I remember some of the faces and like the feeling.
And how old are you right now?
I was 4.
Okay, wow.
I was a baby, and so auditioned for that, and then booked it, and so I did that movie. It was my first film, and that was kind of, it was one of those things. It was like that was so fun, but that's it. You know what I mean? And then later got a self-tape for Bridge Terabithia, and then that was a whole other experience after that.
Wow, so you're in a Travolta movie at 4.
I found all these old photos at my mom's house a couple weeks ago, like film photos that were given to me. It's like me and Selma when I was little, and like me on like John's lap, and like all these set photos. And I got so emotional because I was like, it's, you know, people joke 'cause they're like, you're only 21 and you know you're so, but the lifetime that I've been able to live, it's like you do feel older than you know what I mean, and memories like that do really take you back, because you do look at yourself as a child and you're like, oh man, like you had no idea.
Yeah, I look back at those pictures of me and Travolta as well.
Yeah.
And I go, that never happened. Yeah, I was like, hey John, you know, miss you, man. Hope you're doing well.
He's really great. He was
That's
really
awesome.
Sweet to me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, Selma was amazing too.
Oh, that's
I'll
amazing.
never forget her. Love her.
All right, so things are picking up. You've booked commercials, and now you've had a A-list celebrity in an A-list celebrity film at 4. What's next?
That's very sweet. They did like a, you know, a worldwide search for Bridge Terabithia. My sister actually either found an article that said that they were making it into a movie, or she saw like a submission thing. I can't remember, but she sent it to my mom, because in the elementary school that I went to and all my siblings in 5th grade, you read Bridge Terabithia. So she was like, they're making this into a movie. It was like a part of all of, you know, my siblings' lives, and, you know, and so I put myself on tape for that. And then I got a call that said, we want to fly her out to LA to do like a callback with the producers. So I went out there, and I have a huge, you know, boardroom where we're all just kind of waiting. And like,
how old are you for this one?
I'm 5.
Oh my gosh.
5 for sure. And so I'm there, and I went in, I auditioned, and I walked out. And at the time I had like a manager, kind of. I don't know. You know that classic thing, like when you're a kid and then someone kind of comes along, but you're like, oh, maybe after you're out of it, you're like, that was not legit. Yeah. So
your babysitter, manager.
Yeah. So she had come out with Mom and me, and I remember walking out, and she was like, how'd it go? And I was like, I think good. 'Cause, you know, you're 5. You have no idea
you're
of really
5.
anything. And she said, how many times do you do it? Because the classic thing is you always want to be directed. Otherwise, you're not going to book it, is what they always say. And so I said, just once. And she turned to my mom and said, she's not going to get it. And I said, what? I'm like skipping down the street. She said, you always want to be directed. And I said, or maybe I did it just exactly the way that they wanted it. And like, you know, kind of smiled and laughed and was like, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, it was on, you know, a freeway in South Florida. And my mom got a call, and it was, pack your bags, you're going to New Zealand in a week and a half. And when I tell you, like, they sent like a stretch limo to take my mom and I to the airport, the production. When I say that every single person in my neighborhood, I could tear up right now. Every single person in my neighborhood came either in their front yard or drove to be like in our front yard to say, like, to wish us like a farewell and like be safe. Like, they all did. It was a really really special thing.
Wow. And so
Yeah.
you're in kindergarten, or?
Yeah, kindergarten.
You're
right?
kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten.
It's amazing. I mean, you're like going to New Zealand, but I remember at kindergarten, I'd be like, the limo's really cool.
I thought it was amazing.
It's a giant. Now you get in a limo, and you're like, it's kind of like a 80s apartment
Yeah,
on the
I was like,
inside. It's a little weird, but
This
now.
is so cool.
But now, man.
Yeah, I'm
wow.
like, at this moment, I'm absolutely like over the moon, and my mom at this moment is like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Like, now that I'm older and I can remember her face, I'm like, oh, she was so stressed.
Do you think there's an element of, I mean, I don't know what goes into a worldwide search and how many children they looked at, but like,
Yeah.
is there a part of you that goes, that's just providence? Like, there's some sort of, you know, someone upstairs is like orchestrating that? I mean, what are the odds?
Oh no, 100% that is. I've always said none of this has been a me thing. I mean, this is, it's been such a God thing. And people always say, they're like, how did you get into it? And I genuinely say I don't know, because I don't know. Like none of it really makes any sense to me. I never stood up and said I want to be an actress. If anything, I was like, I want to be a singer. You know what I mean? Like it was never upfront about wanting to act. I was never in an acting class. My mom was never, having me sit down and watch movies and fall in love with acting or anything like that. I was just a kid, and I was fortunate enough to get to learn very quickly what I love and be able to do it. And for whatever reason, and I'm a very faith-based person, so it's got to be him, he's allowed me to continue to do it.
Wow. Man, that is... I'm trying to think what I was doing at 5. I think I was playing with Legos.
Legos are cool.
And you were on the way to New Zealand. And
but Legos.
That's true. Maybe, they probably had Legos on set. All right, so after Bridge to Terabithia, how does your world start changing? And, it's just a continued upward trajectory. So then Bridge to Terabithia comes out. Then what? How's life changing?
Bridge to Terabithia comes out. We left after 6 months in New Zealand, and we were like, that was fun. We're done with that. Flew out to LA for the premiere when I was 7. And from 7 on, started consistently kind of working. My mom refused to move out to LA. So I lived at the Sheraton Universal, which is a hotel.
That's a great hotel. I stay there all the time.
Love that hotel.
I know, it's classic.
Love it.
You're going to visit Universal Studios, you go to Sheraton.
Love it. So I was like the Eloise at the Sheraton. So I'd come back after filming or whatever, and I'd have welcome home balloons in my room that the hotel staff would put in. I'd go behind the bar and make like a Bailee surprise drink, which was just every sugary thing that you could put in like club soda.
So you're at 7 and they let you behind the bar.
Yeah. But like
Got it.
No, but like in a good, don't get them in trouble. Like they were awesome. You know what I mean? And like would check people in like the concierge. So I'd do room keys, and like they would wheel me through the hotel on bell carts, and
wow.
I mean, they were incredible. I still talk to like some of the guys over there too.
Really?
Yeah. I just had, for whatever odd reason, again, kind of a thing. I went to this event that was being held at the Sheraton before the pandemic started, right before, and it was like, I was like, this is crazy to be back here. Like it smells the same, the escalators are the same, and then it honestly just started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so. I just have the fondest memories of the hotel too. My mom and dad, every time we go to Universal Studios, we would stay there.
Saddle Ranch?
Yeah. Or no,
Did you ever go to the Saddle Ranch?
Of course, go to Saddle
Yeah.
Ranch, of course. But I remember the
S'mores.
little breakfast restaurant downstairs. We'd go to the Sheraton. Because I loved, like Disneyland was cool, but I was Universal Studios. The tram ride was just the coolest thing ever.
See, the tram ride pissed me off.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Because
all I wanted to
wasn't
be was
filming.
a tram ride host.
See, I get that, but I was going through the sets, turning to my mom, being like, "Why am I not on that set?" Like it always really upset
Yeah.
me, so I couldn't stand the tram ride.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, and then I would look at something like Jaws, and I'd be like, "Why wasn't I able to be in Jaws?" And then I was like, "You weren't born," But like all those thoughts really went in my head.
Reboots coming. I'm sure you
Reboots.
can. That'd be
Ooh,
good.
that'd be fun.
Oh yeah.
So many reboots though.
All right, and so you keep booking consistent work, and what is it like with? Are you homeschooled, or how does education work at this time, and what's a social life like when you're hanging out with behind the bar at a hotel at 7? How do you make friends? Do you have normal kid experiences, or what is that like?
I mean,
clearly not.
So loaded question. So school. I had a set teacher. So
Okay.
whenever I filmed, I had a set teacher. So you had to do at least 3 hours of school a day, up to 5 hours within your working hours of like, I think 9 hours is what you're able to work once you turn 9, and it's a little bit less if you're under 9, but you start gaining as you kind of grow. So I'd be, I would be filming, and they would yell cut, and they would set up for 30 minutes, and you could only, this is what was so annoying. They need to fix this. They would only count the time for 30 minutes solid. So it didn't matter if there was a break, you'd run to set, you'd run to the tent, you would do your school. And then if they pulled you, because they were ready on set, 28 minutes in, you couldn't count any of that 28 minutes towards like your school time. So it was a lot of just back and forth, and thankfully I had a mom who really wanted me to remain as sane as possible, and I think if she could have helped it, I would have not been on set. I probably would have just been in school all the time and you know, a sports or playing tennis or something. So she'd fly me home any chance that I could, even if it was literally 4 days off that I had. We'd go back to Florida. I'd put on my uniform. I'd go to Christchurch and I'd pack my lunch and I would hang out with my friends and go to school. And then they would send me packets of what I had to kind of catch up on. But then when middle school came, then middle school, that made it sound like such a big deal just then.
Is it a bigger tent
Middle
on set,
school
or what is?
came.
Yeah, what is?
No, it just I had to go online, which was a bummer. It was like I don't know. I think online classes are really hard when you're a kid, especially.
Yeah.
I was in a program that didn't have any physical books, so it was literally all online. So now you're dealing with, if you're filming.
You've seen a physical book, right?
Yeah, I
okay,
love
just making sure.
I
I know the age gap, right? Because I used textbooks when I was in school.
So no, but I was the girl who loved just buying textbooks just to write. You know what I mean? Like I love paper, so that's why that was really hard for me on set, because if you didn't have Wi-Fi, couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Now you're stressing because your test is timed out in the middle of it, and you had to get this done before you went to go film this other scene. You know, so I mean, it's something that I actually, as I'm getting older, I would like to try and figure out how we can make the education a little bit smoother for kids on set, and that is something that I would love to try and figure out if I can help in that in any way, because it is really important. And the teachers that you have in, who spend all that time with you, who aren't just teaching you but are also protecting you, you know, and your rights as a kid and making sure you're good and okay, like all of that is really equally as important. So I would love to, you know, future little ones coming into this world, like make sure that they're good, because I was lucky with who I had around me, but I know it's different for a lot of people.
That's cool. You now, did I read that at 15 you actually got to produce a movie?
Yeah.
So your book and stuff, your middle school tent on set, you know, your online classes, but how did you start moving into behind the camera as well and producing?
It was just one of those things. I was so lucky with the people that I was able to meet along the ride. I think I always loved behind the scenes. I did. It's not like, it's unfortunate because when you watch a movie, you only see the actors and you only see the story. You don't get to have the widened lens of everybody who's there to make this movie happen, who you know, are dads and moms and aunts and, you know, assistants. And I mean, it's a team effort. You literally cannot make a film if you don't have anyone from a grip to craft service to a writer to the director to the producer to the costume assistant or the hairman. You know what I mean? Like it's a collaborative effort. So I've always had such fond kind of admiration for them. But this came along because I was attached to be in this movie. It was called Annabelle Hooper and the Ghost of Nantucket. And it was with some people that I had worked with before that I loved. And I was also filming Good Witch at the time. And I was just looking at my schedule and I was like, I don't think that there's a way in which I can go and film this with you guys right now. But I loved the project and I had been working really closely with them. And so they were like, would you want to produce this? And I was like 100%. So I had met this writer and I was a fan of her books. Her name's Stephanie Miller. I called her up. I was like, would you want to revamp the script? Because it's time to kind of revamp it. And she said 100%. So then she started working on the script and we were able to literally find a 4-week break in my schedule. And we flew to Nantucket and we filmed the movie. So I was able to be in it and produce it, which was really fun. So it all worked out. And then I also kind of was able to have the cherry on top and dive into that. But that was I was more so creatively producing that. And then as I've started producing more, it's like it's fun to really get to, you know, dive in and find my voice and not be scared to use it. You know, it's a tricky thing. So but I love it. I love producing.
At 15, is it just weird? They look at you and like, oh my gosh, you're so young, or is it all collaborative and it doesn't matter because they just recognize that you're younger and bring a fresh perspective?
That's really sweet. I think I think I was fortunate with the people that were a part of it, because they had known me for a couple of years, and so I think that they kind of knew me inside and out. You always get the occasional 100%, especially, you know, I was expecting it. I was like, I'm 15, and it's also, you know, we were right at the curve of figuring out social media, I feel like. and filming and what that can do to a project. And so now you have the 15-year-old bringing social media into it, and it's like, well, but we don't, and it's that's a hard conversation to try and convince people of the importance of it. And so there was some of that, but no, it was so much fun. I mean, we were in Nantucket for 4 weeks and running around on bikes and, ice cream parlors, and they were great when it came down to people that I thought that would be great in the movie, and having them come in and read, and thankfully, they felt the same, gravitational pull towards them as I did. So it was those sort of things that I was really, really, really grateful for.
That's awesome. How do you work out friends when you're growing up? I mean, aside from the staff at Sheraton, but they
were honestly OG friends. They haven't gone anywhere. They're great.
That's amazing.
That should be like the tier of like
I'm
what you hold your friend standards to. Now that I think about it,
you're middle school and there's the experience of, albeit extremely painful usually. Like
right.
Middle school is brutal.
Yeah.
Right. But like, do you just make friends on set? Who do you do social life with?
It's so funny.
No soccer teams, right? Like no club sports.
No club sports. I did. I mean, I was able to meet people along the way. If I had a brother in a movie, I remember I had a brother in a film when I was 7, and his sister came to visit, and she was my first best friend, and like still keep in touch and love her with all of my heart. And that was like my ride or die. And then I was walking down the street one day on like a day off in LA, and I was 8, and I passed a bike that I thought was really cool at one of my cafes like here in LA that I love. Started talking to the girl, and she was like, I like your bike. And we were like, let's trade. And our parents went, no. And her mom said, but you guys could come over if you ever want to, hang out. We live up the street. And she's still my life. I mean, that's my, my girl, Paige, and I love her. And, we're in 2 completely different kind of sections of life, and we ground each other, all the time. And I'm so grateful for that. And then you have the joy of getting to meet peers of yours, people that really inspire you along the way, and having this click with some of these girls that, women, I guess now, that I have such respect for and love for inside of the business, and especially outside of the business, that I'm always like, it's such a joy to get to see you as everyone sees you and know how hard you work, you know what I mean? But also get to see you as no one else does. It is that kind of a bond is a crazy thing when you're dealing with, public and private life. There's such a source of like putting all your trust in that person, of if I tell you this, I'm trusting you to keep it here, or if, and so those are, the friendships that are all about navigation. And I'm for sure, I joke that everyone was always like, did you ever miss out on high school things? And I was like, I for sure lived like 4 years of high school drama with friends in like 2 months at one point. Like, I've been through it. You know what I mean? I'm good.
I wouldn't want you to miss out on the classic experience.
I am so solid. I'm fine. But there was never once, and I've always been really, really clear on this, there was never once that I said, I don't feel like a kid, or I'm missing out on this, or I want to go and I want to do this. My whole family was always saying, the moment you want to leave, it's okay. Like, the moment that it's not fun for you anymore, even if you just want to go and take a break for a couple weeks or a couple months, and that's all right. But in my head, I was like, I could go to prom, or I could go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like, I want to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Was that an actual option?
Yeah, that was an option. So I was like, I'm going to do that, It wasn't prom, but it was like one of like the homecoming things. But I was like, that's like that was like my perspective.
Which administration was this under?
This was under the Obama administration.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Man, that's I mean, I don't. My prom was fine, but I think I would have preferred a White House correspondent.
It was so cool because we had spent. I teamed up with the Creative Coalition, and it was all about advocating for arts and education and not taking out of our school system. So they had assembled like the coolest group of people. I don't know how I was able to be there, but I was. And we spent like 3 days on Capitol Hill advocating for it, and then we went to the Correspondents' Dinner.
Awesome.
Which is just like the most. That whole night is just so bizarre. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think... So, you said you didn't miss out on your childhood. Do you think that being a childhood actor and having notoriety, you've obviously proven it's possible to keep grounded and maintain stability? Because it seems like a lot of folks who have this fame in the childhood actor, it seems there's a common trope, it seems, where they tend to, people are waiting for you to go off the rails or something like that. Why is it? What is that? Is it?
Well, that's exact. You just said it. They're waiting for you to go off the rails. The amount. I feel really strongly about this. Actually, I'm glad that you just asked me about it. There is such a social knowledge. I feel like that if you started working when you were younger, it's not, oh my gosh, she's doing great and look at her, like she's happy and she's still working. It's, what is she gonna do? When is she gonna break? All these child actors are. Imagine being that person, and if you're not surrounded by a really great group around you and a really great team, like that eats you alive 100%. I mean, and I remember at one point I was 8. No, lies. I was probably 13. Big difference there, 8 to 13. They all run together now. And someone came up to me and she said, I really hope that you don't become, and she listed a name of someone. And I said, oh, that makes me so sad. I was like, because no one wants to, one, be in a conversation where their name is used in a sentence like that. Mm-hmm. And 2, this business is so, like, imagine growing up in general, right? Like in high school, like that stuff is hard. And then you take that and you put your life under a microscope, and you're supposed to be able to always come up from it. And I know that there are so many people who probably don't have the close family who are saying the same things that they said to me, which is, if you're ever not happy, we can stop. Oftentimes it's keep going. Mm-hmm. So I'm really fortunate in that situation. But the pressure is, I joke all the time. I'm like, I swear you could do a million good things and you could do one wrong thing and you're done. And that is something that I walk around with all the time. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever not have that. It's unfortunately a pretty true statement, I think. Is you could craft a really great career and a really great public record, and it could be a very accurate example of who you are. And then you could just be human for a second and slip, and that's what they've been waiting for.
Man.
So it's a hard thing.
That sounds very toxic to have to.
It's not the healthiest.
No, not for you, but just like it sounds like that sucks that people place that expectation and.
Yeah, but that's a part of it.
What is?
So you've gotta.
So because people grow up with you, like you're one of those actresses that transcends the different ages and generations, and people kind of grow up with you. I imagine that engenders a certain like familiarity, and people just like feel they know you, so they can just approach you or do whatever. Is that and talk to you like you're just their friend, which has got to be flattering, but on the other hand, like that would be annoying, right?
No, I love it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I love it because, one, I'm not that cool. It's not like I'm like Taylor Swift walking down the street or something. You know what I mean? I've never
mentioned
experienced
Taylor Swift twice now. So
I'll always talk about her.
She is cool.
I'll never.
But you are cool too. I want
That's
you to
very
know
sweet.
that.
Thank you.
You drop your butt. It's in the shot.
Oh.
You just like maybe put your right leg out and then like kind of sit. Yeah, and then you put it on.
That?
Yeah. Now it's not in.
Okay, great.
There you go. No, but the thing about Taylor is
first name basis.
Taylor Swift. Everyone knows though.
But Taylor, okay.
I mean, she's that's a whole different thing. Or like, if you're, I don't know, like Meryl Streep and you're walking, you know what I mean? That's an old Hollywood thing. And so I'd be silly if I was like, it's fine, because I've never experienced that sort of level where, you get in a car and there's 80 paparazzi around you at all times, or you're trying to hide things and they know everywhere that you are. Like, that's a totally different life.
Well, now that you've done this show, get ready for that.
Well, I'm ready.
Me too.
But I have always had, no, it'll happen, you're great. I have always had this this thought of, they're the reason why you're able to do what you love. If they didn't watch it, if they didn't support it, you wouldn't get to do it. I mean, the recognition that they give you is the recognition that you need to keep on going forward. So who am I to not say thank you for that, for letting me do what I love and supporting that. When I was younger, when I had someone come up to me, it was like right at the beginning, so it was very, very new. And I had someone in my life at the time, and they said to me when they walked away, They said, look, that moment one day for you might not mean anything, but that 5 minutes or the 3 minutes that you just spent with that person, that will carry on for their entire life. They will remember that. They will talk about that moment that means something to them always. And so I've always just carried that with me. I was like that, and to me, it will mean something to me, because one day, who knows, I could not have anyone come up to me. You know what I mean? So I've got to enjoy it. May it never be. Yeah. Is that real wood?
Why should we knock here in the show?
Yeah. Oh, is that how you do it?
Yeah, so we show people that we're separated in this socially distant time.
I know, I love that. It's kind of concerning how clear it is.
Right?
Yeah.
It's sort of very
it's a mind trick.
It's like we're at a detention center, right? And this is like,
yes.
we could be talking through the phone with each other.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about the Wizards of Waverly Place, your foray into more magic, the Good Witch, Wizards of Waverly Place. How old were we when we got on those shows, and then what was that like?
Wizards, I want to say I had my 12th birthday on. No. Hold on. This is now you'll get to really experience Bailee. I know my birthday, like my age, based on I basically have spent every birthday on a set, so I can remember which age I
15th?
was. Yeah, October 15th. Thank you very much.
Happy belated.
Thank you. So I was I had an owl. This is probably so boring. I had an owl cake on the set of Parental Guidance. That was 12. That was 12. So then Wizards would have been 10. I had spent at the screening. So 11 would have been for Wizards. So I was 11. So I was 11, turned 11 when I did Wizards.
Okay.
And had my birthday there, and it was amazing.
Had the show been on for a while?
Oh, yeah, they were in their last season.
Oh, so you were a latecomer to Wizards?
No, I was a latecomer.
Okay, were you a fan of the show?
Oh, I was a huge fan. This is why. So I was up for a movie. Was supposed to do this movie, and then Wizards came along, and it was an audition. So I was like, let's just see what happens. I had done a few episodes of a Disney show here and there, but that was it. For the most part, I was just doing films. And so this audition came, and I was so nervous. I thought I was terrible. I booked it, and then they were like, "Well, are you gonna do this movie? You're gonna do Wizards?" And I was like, "This is me being a kid." I was like, "I'm doing Wizards." I was like, "This is their last season. It's my last chance to be on their show. I love their show. I've never gotten to just be a kid and like also be a part of that demographic and that fan base. So let's do it." And
were you a David Henry fan?
Yeah, I watched the whole show. I loved all of them.
David.
I love David. I had known David forever too, like long before that.
He sat in that very chair.
I know.
That's how low we sank as a show.
I can feel his heart over
you
here.
Feel his
it's
energy?
lovely. I can feel it. Hi, David.
Yeah, his s'more is a legendary s'more.
Yes, so I've heard.
Cucumber.
So bizarre. But like good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, you do you, bro.
You do you, bro. And so so then I did Wizards, and I was a newbie. I'd never done multi-camera before. Had never known what it was like to like talk a lot louder than I was always taught to talk when I was filming. It's like that is a very, very specific talent, and one that I don't really know. I don't think I ever got it great on Wizards. I'll be honest. Like looking back, I'm always like, oh, I could have been so much better. But I was surrounded by such love. I mean, David or Selena or Jennifer, like in the middle of a scene, they would literally somehow figure out a way to rotate my body so it looked like they were just kind of like brushing my shoulder. So I was actually looking at the right camera, like where I was getting my coverage, because I just had no concept of it.
So David, I did ask David in preparation for this interview, and he said you were fantastic on set. So I've noticed you said something too. You said, "Oh, thought I did terrible and booked it." I feel like I hear this from a lot of my actor friends. It's like, "How'd you do in your audition?" "Oh, I crushed it," and then we never hear from them.
Yeah, no, it's a true thing.
But they'll say, "Oh no, I did terrible," and
Yep.
I seem to feel like they book it all the time.
No, it's true. It's a running joke.
Yeah, do you just not have an idea? Do you honestly just have no idea how you did?
Yeah, I guess we think we know when we're good, but that's really when we're bad, maybe. And then when we think that we're terrible, it's like, no, there it is. We see something in you. I don't know.
No, he said he was great. Now, I also asked another producer who you've worked with, who wishes to remain anonymous, and says that on The Good Witch.
Do I know this on the side?
You might
yeah.
From The Good Witch.
Yeah,
and this producer, we again won't name names or anything.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, communicates that they had to feed you lines because you just refused to read them the exact way they were written on the.
Oh
on the
my
script.
gosh, ridiculous.
He said, by the way, you would deny this emphatically.
Obviously, I would deny this. I mean, 100%.
Says you were great and you were like one of the most coachable and you took notes. better than
Coachable.
anyone.
Oh, I'm gonna kill him.
Again, nameless producer.
Kill
Nameless
him.
producer, but say, yeah, the lines would just always come out a little differently through the Bailee filter.
Yeah, well, it's called making it a little bit more natural.
Okay.
I only say that way because I know who we're talking about, and that's how I would respond. We had good banter. No, the thing that I will say to that person is, we always got our scripts really late.
Oh, okay.
So, there was a lot of having to learn it the morning of.
Got it.
So,
that part was left out.
Yeah, I bet.
Now, there's another anecdote where apparently there's a jacket that you found in a trunk.
Yeah.
And this jacket cost $3,000.
Did it?
Yeah, and he wanted you to know that because it was worth it because he said it looked that good on you. It was perfect for you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I didn't get to keep it.
I know. It's a shame.
Now that I know this, would have loved to have known that information when they asked if I wanted to keep anything after the end of the season.
Right.
No, that was a really fun episode.
That's right. And
But I loved that whole season because the pace was always so quick. It was like the quickest pace that we had on Good Witch, and I remember always loving that.
That's
But
all.
if I dropped an and or a but once in a while, I'm sincerely very sorry.
Nameless producer. I want you to know I worked it in, and he did say he asked if you remembered. He wrote one line for you, which he said was his favorite line ever that he wrote for you. Do you know what it is?
No, I don't remember.
He said amazement is in it.
Oh, he loved that line.
I know. I thought it's a cool line, but he's definitely excited about it.
No, he was thrilled about this line. I actually struggled saying it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, how do I say this natural?
We're going to have him on the show
I
to
was like,
hear his side of
amazement
the
is
story.
in it. I would, oh my gosh, no. That is so, because I love that was his favorite because he had written such incredible monologues and like such great, really specifically fun back and forth scenes. And I remember when this line came up, he was like, this is a great line. I was like, okay.
You're like, okay.
I love it. Let's
Nice.
do it.
Who are you've gotten to know some big household names, everyone from Meghan Trainor, it looks like, to Billy Crystal and
Yeah.
Travolta and Selena. Who have you loved working with, or who is I mean, I know there's a ton of people, but top of mind, who's a couple that you're just like, oh my gosh, this was so fun, amazing.
It's just hard. It really.
I know.
And genuinely, I'm not just saying that as like a politically correct statement.
I know.
I was really blessed beyond belief to be a little girl on a set and to have grown up in these years with these incredibly gifted but beautifully hearted humans. Like, I will always, like, pinch me, I'm so grateful. But Billy Crystal, since you mentioned him, I have such respect for him. He gave me a locket on the last day of filming, and it was a key necklace, and it had my birthstone on it. And he handed me a card, and he said there are so many doors to unlock in your life. You've already unlocked some, but like, here's a key to keep going, basically.
Wow.
And I remember we just talked, and it was, we were doing a night shoot, and it was just me, Billy, and Bet filming that night.
Bette Midler.
Yeah, Bet Midler.
Wow.
And
From Hocus Pocus.
yes, I love her. I mean, let's talk about Bet though. She's incredible. I miss her. Like, I really do.
Do you stay in touch with them?
I haven't talked to Bet in a while. I know her hairstylist Robert all the time, so he and I will DM here and there. But I always mean to reach out. But she was the kind of person who would quiz me on everything that I didn't know, and then yell at my mom for my mom not teaching me it. Like, if it was, ballet movie or movies or
Like pop culture stuff?
And so I would wake up after filming. I'd look at my hotel, and I would have, a stack of movies to watch and salts to try, different kind of, Himalayan salts and cookbooks and stuff. But I mean, she was amazing. We filmed a scene one time. It was a night shoot, and she just started saying Poison Ivy outside.
Oh, wow.
And the whole set kind of goes silent for a second, and she's just like, and then I kind of joined in, and then Billy joined in. And it was just this, like, magical, we're making a movie, and I'm getting to make it with you guys. And
What
as
movie
I
was
grow
this
older,
again?
it's called Parental Guidance. I loved that film.
Is Billy Crystal's hilarious? Like,
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Oh yeah.
He's brilliant, and Bet is brilliant. It was such a fun. Andy Fickman directed that shoot, and I had met him at the Game Plan premiere of this movie that came out with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Madison Pettis was in it. And I went to the premiere when I was little, and I walked up to him, and he said that I shook his hand, and I said, "Andy Fickman, I'm Bailee. I can't wait to work with you one day." And so when I went in for the audition for Parental Guidance, I walked in, and it was with Billy. So Billy was in the room. So it was with Billy and
Wow.
Andy. And he was like, "Bailee Madison, can't wait to work with you one day." We kind
Oh,
of
that's
laughed, and he just ran the most amazing set. But then quickly, Katie Holmes, adore and love, and
Wow.
and still, on the occasion, get to say hi to her, which means so much to me. And she's just a beautiful woman, and an incredible mother. I mean, she's a talent, but I mean, the mom that she is just, I saw it for, 4 months straight in Australia. And then
Wow.
when I would come back here to LA and hang out with them and, continue to see it. And she's a phenomenally, beautifully hearted person. But then you mentioned Megan Trainor, and I love her.
I saw that. I saw you all are besties.
She's,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. I don't know why her and her family are so beyond wonderful to me, but she's having a baby, and she's in love, and she's just
incredible.
kick-ass.
I love that she brought back like doo-wop, like 50s kind of like, you know.
What she brought back, like, joy, like straight
Yeah.
up, like happiness, joy. That's all she wants to do. She just wants to, like, she loves music, and she wants to make people happy. And no, she was amazing. She's gotten me through some really hard times, and has always been there. So I love her.
We can't have an actress on without asking any epic fails on set or auditions. Worst
Oh.
audition or just a crazy thing that happened to you?
I mean, yeah, epic fails. I mean, I've fallen quite a few times on camera. Is that like an epic fail?
I mean, it depends unless your scene calls for it.
No, it's just
I know
like,
in one of those scenes in The Good Witch, you said you wanted to act more, and the producer had you fall off a cliff and recover in a hospital.
you know why they did that?
Because you wanted to act more. And you didn't get a chance. You wanted to demonstrate so you could,
Act more. Oh, you on the show? No, it was so that way I could go off and I could film something else.
Oh.
So it was like I was less in an episode and then could wake up. Yeah. That scene, that's the thing though, is like I did just wake up from a concussion, but I'm like supposed to be fine because it can't be too scary,
That's
So
right.
I can't be like I just woke up from a cliff, what is going on, which is what it would be. It has to be like I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
What are your advice to people who are just thinking about getting into the industry now and where it's going, and what's your wisdom for them?
My wisdom? I don't know. I would say it's shifting. I've been able to watch this business shift multiple times since I've started it. So I would say you don't necessarily my whole big thing is everyone wants to move to LA, and I think when it comes to kids, like moms who come up to me and they're like, I want to move my daughter out of LA so she can act, the first thing I say is like, you don't have to. Just because you don't have to, you can do self-tapes, you can submit things from anywhere and they look at anything in that capacity. You don't have to be here. I think that's a big part of it. I think, getting to stay home and be with your family and have that normal life, and then also go off and film. If you're a kid, I would always really suggest that you don't have to be in Hollywood to make it in Hollywood anymore, which is nice. And I just always remind people, I'm like, it takes time. And even when you think people are not fighting battles and not fighting for it because they've been in so many movies or TV shows that you've seen, and in your head that's the career that you want to have, the truth is probably you pull back the curtain and they're just, they're working just as hard, if not harder.
Yeah.
It's a game of relevancy. It's like, how long can you stay relevant for? How long can people listen to you for? How long can they enjoy watching you for? And you hold on to it as much as you can, and you never stop working your ass off. Like it genuinely, I don't think you ever get to a point where it stops. But if you love it, and I love it, then you don't want to stop.
Yeah. You have so many endeavors. How did you end up with a clothing line
random.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
How does that happen?
Nowadays is this brand, and they have their clothes in Macy's. They asked if I wanted to do like a capsule collection, so I said, yeah, I'd love that.
Of course, why not?
Of course. So I had a capsule collection that came out of Macy's, which is kind of like a one-off. We did like spring, I think a fall line, fall winter, spring summer, fall winter line, and it was so much fun. Like, it was so cool, and I still have pieces at my house that I just, like, keep that don't fit me at all anymore, but
Wow.
they have, you know, the tag on it, and you'd walk into a Macy's, and, you know, my face would be there with, like, nowadays with all the clothes up. It was really,
Say
really
like
cool.
the Bailee Madison collection.
Yeah.
Man. It's also we forgot to mention this, but you actually there's a lot of Madisons going. I mean, there
A lot of Madisons.
There's another actress,
Madison Bailee.
Madison Bailee.
She's great
right.
on the show.
Yeah, mixed you guys up quite a bit.
Yep.
Then there's just the movie Billy Madison, which is just awesome. Right. So
Everyone used to ask me if my mom named me after Bailee Madison, especially after Just Go With It. How did I not mention Adam?
oh yeah. All right.
Sorry.
Let's talk about
And
Adam
Brooklyn
for a minute.
Decker and like all of that cast. That's the thing. I hate that question because I always leave and I'm
I
like,
know.
everybody. I do. I love everyone. But no, Adam is
I know.
it's incredible, that guy.
How did you write a book? How old were you? How did you decide to write a novel?
I started writing it when I started producing the first movie, Annabelle Hooper and the Ghost of Nantucket. So we were doing script revisions one night, me and the writer, Stephanie Miller, and we became, you know, she's now a family friend and we love her. And we just kind of like took a break from the script and we were like, she said to me, would you ever want to write a book? And I was like, yeah. I was like, but I don't want to do like a auto, you know, biography, like that sort of a book, which had been pitched to me a couple times before, like do a book on your life. And I was like, I've got so much more life to live. Like I don't want to do that yet. And we just started having a conversation about a role that I would love to do that I've never had the chance to do before. And what if we could write it for myself, or at least write it for, I think, an audience that would also enjoy to read or watch something like that they're not being given. So she had this concept, and then we just started kind of going back and forth on it. And before we knew it, we were co-writing this, you know, book together. And I mean, she was a writer, so I mean, I was just learning from her every single second. But we'd hop on, you know, FaceTimes on the computer when I would wrap up on set, and she'd send me over new pages. I'd read the pages, we'd talk about them, you know, send over thoughts, and then it was like we got the book bought, and then the book came out. You know what I mean? So it was just a crazy ride. I mean, that the whole the book publishing world is a totally different realm of things that you're not prepared for. It's very fun, but like cutthroat also in the same way.
Was the book ever talked about being optioned into a movie? Or
Yeah, we talk about it still all the time. I feel like for us, like, timing is everything, and I think I'm also in a place right now where the conversations are being had about making this film or making this book into a film. Or in my head, I even see it as like a limited series. And so many people, like, over quarantine, which was so special, started rereading the book or like reading it for the first time.
Cool.
It was like reliving, you know, when it first came out, and seeing and remembering the way that it resonated to people makes you then have the fire to be like, let's go and let's sell this thing. So yeah, there are talks about it all the time. I'd love it. Or I would either love to be in it, or I would be also super down to just be behind the scenes for it and find like two really great girls and throw them in there and see what magic could be made. You know, that to me is a really cool idea.
Wow. Clothing line and a book. Your name is everywhere. That's awesome. But you know, all this talk has made me quite hungry, as we often get on
Me
camping
too.
trips. And there's an old saying,
Yeah.
philosophers have waxed for years, that a marshmallow roasted is a s'more story boasted. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I just made that up this morning.
Did you?
I did.
Did you really?
I did. I try to make up something unique for everybody. So that was for you.
I loved that.
So s'mores are a big part of life, obviously, and
Huge.
and camping trips, even though you don't camp.
No.
So,
But I do love the country, can I just say?
yes.
No, like my goal is to like live in Nashville, like on like a little farmhouse, like one day.
That's a totally doable dream.
That's a totally, like, I love that. It's not that I, camp. I just didn't want anyone thinking I was like a camping.
No, I think Florida would be a tough place to camp. It rains so much.
Like, that's a whole lot of, mosquitoes all over and a lot of slapping.
It rains a lot and you have dinosaurs running outside and, it seems like a lot. But that being said, were you to camp?
Yeah.
As we are right now.
Yeah, we are.
What is the signature collection, Bailee Madison s'more?
Signature collection.
Look, the last thing you need is for another ad to tell you how awesome a product is. Organic coffee. You don't need to hear how smooth it is. So smooth. Or how it features functional ingredients like lion's mane. And I would never presume that my words could sway you into purchasing this most delicious brew. But seriously, buy this coffee. It's amazing, and it just might change your life.
As a parent, have you often sworn that you want to minimize screen time? Let's be honest, you're gonna cave. Why not let your kids do something useful on the tablet, like Vooks, the online streaming library of kids-safe, ad-free books that are read aloud to your child. Let's talk to two actual bookworms.
Bookworms?
What do you guys think of Vooks? Oh, wow. That's amazing.
I can actually do it way better.
That's probably not necessary. That's me. All right, Jeb, do you like Vooks?
Yes.
Yes. Jeb.
Yes.
What's the last Vook that you watched?
You're not scared.
I am not scared.
What are you scared of?
Bad guys.
I'm scared of spiders.
If I'm a friend with spiders, I will like it. That spider.
Max, it's your turn to pick a book. Ruckus on the Ranch? What's that about? Causing a ruckus on the ranch. Causing a ruckus on the ranch. Do you actually read the words?
Yeah.
Is that why you're so smart?
No.
No?
What would you...
You're causing a ruckus on the set. You're causing a ruckus on the set.
Head on over to join.vooks.com/redeem. Enter promo code WENTCamping for $25 off your Vooks subscription, which is basically 6 months of free Vooks. That's amazing. Do it now.
You're gonna hate it.
Look right in there and
You're
tell
gonna
us.
hate it. You can keep all the graham crackers. You can keep all the chocolate. I just need a marshmallow on a stick, and then you burn it. Like, you catch it on fire, then you blow it out, and then you take that crisp part, and then you eat that. So then you still have a marshmallow still on your stick. Then you reburn that. Then you take that layer off, which then leaves you like the centerfold of like the marshmallow, which is like just absolutely like, it's just perfect. It's just like so sticky and great. And that's my marshmallow. But it's a marshmallow.
That's not a s'more at all, but just a burnt marshmallow.
But here's my problem with s'mores. Here's my problem with s'mores.
Let's hear it.
You have a great marshmallow that's like warm and lovely, and then you have like a cold graham cracker and chocolate that's like not heated enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put that perfect marshmallow on that. It's not adding up. We need to figure out how to make the chocolate heated. Maybe that's a fire, a flat thing that you can put the chocolate on, and then you can heat up the chocolate, and maybe the same for the. But it's got to be all in the same. You can't have a warm marshmallow and then just ruin it with something cold on top.
All right.
But my nieces love s'mores. We actually recently, before the pandemic, my sister, my brother-in-law, my two nieces, and my partner, we went up there and we got a cabin in Big Bear, and we all roasted marshmallows, but we all ate s'mores.
All right.
Even I did.
So even you had a s'more. Okay.
And it's just classic, if I'm going to have one.
All right. So we'll call yours a minimalist s'more.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very,
I love that.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay. All right.
Old school, classic, you know? Don't mess with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay. All right, there you go.
All my taglines for it.
Well, in addition, as the flames dance and the night appears, Bailee Madison will now share her fears with a very scary story.
Yeah. So okay. All right. I was staying at a hotel in New Mexico. I was filming a movie called Brothers, and we stayed at this hotel in Santa Fe called La Posada, and it's this very, very famous. Should have done research before telling this story to like not mess up these facts, but stay
It's
with
okay.
me.
I make up things all the time.
This is it's gonna be close enough.
Okay.
It's actually really
So it's
dark
based
now that
on
I'm thinking about it.
Based on a true story.
No, it's true.
Okay.
I'm basically telling you what the hotel would tell you if you were staying there.
Okay.
But
So
maybe,
it's like a travel endorsement.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, basically. But maybe leaving out the right information and putting in false information. I am worried that I'm doing that.
Okay. Noted.
But it is really dark. I'm like thinking about this right now.
So this is a spooky story.
Okay.
okay.
There's like spooky and then there's kind of like messed up. Anyways, so so this hotel, when you walk into the lobby, they basically have converted this old house from like forever ago. Like I'm not even gonna give you a date, but like long time ago. And this woman was married to this guy, and they had all these babies, and she unfortunately lost a child. It's a true story. Lost a child and went into like a deep state of like depression. And they would always host like these really lively parties, and people would come over, and they were like the talk of the town. And then one night there was a fire. This is a bad story. There was a fire, and I think everyone died. I'm pretty sure. But the thing that was able to stay maintained was the front door and the steps and the staircase. They were able to like preserve all of that basically with the fire. So I think she didn't make it out and whatever. I'm losing bits of this, but you're with me. Enough to say she lives in the hotel. Like they see her all the time.
So the hotel's haunted.
The hotel's haunted. So you can stay in one of their rooms, and you can put down a rose because her favorite flower was a rose. And when you wake up the next morning, it's been told that whoever stays there, like the rose is gone. It's like not like a hotel staff is sinking in your room, like removing a rose.
Did you try this?
No, I didn't, but I heard great things.
Do you have friends who stayed there who said the rose thing is true?
No.
Okay.
No, but I know, like, it's travel log. Do you know what I mean? It's real. Like, the hotel staff, it is a real thing. But I will say, one night, when I was walking past the staircase, I, like, felt this, like, cold rush. And, like, I looked up, and there's no windows or anything, like, nothing for, like, a breeze to come in. And the curtain literally went, like, oh, she's here.
Whoa.
Did she follow me from Santa Fe?
I hope not. No.
Did you do that?
No, that just happened.
That was weird, right?
That's really weird.
That's my scary story. One day I was doing this show with you, and I was telling a scary story.
That is scary.
And then something started floating in the air.
Wow.
Something's here.
So
You
felt
should research it.
You felt a cold draft,
And I looked up, and then the curtain moved. And it was at the base that she's always spotted at, like at the top of the staircase. And people have quit. Like, people have quit the hotel. Like, late night, you know, guys who are bringing in dishes from the kitchen or whatever, they've looked up and they've seen her in, like, her satin nightgown, like, standing on the top of the staircase.
Wow. I think I will continue to stay at the Sheraton Universal.
No, it's a great hotel. You should go.
Okay.
Really cute little cabins. Like, it's really, really adorable.
Okay.
Because you don't have to stay in the hotel. They have, like, little...
They have a non-haunted, like haunted or non-haunted section?
Yeah, the haunted section is, like, literally if you're going to have dinner there, you know,
Okay.
like, inside, you have dinner, or you could stay in her room.
Yeah, not going to do that. Okay, that's good.
You should stay there and let me know what happens.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Tell her I said hi.
Keep you posted.
Yeah.
Okay, So Bailee, you've been very open. In fact, I saw an I Am Second video. You've been very open about your faith and being a Christian.
Yeah.
I hear different perspectives on this, but what has been your overall experience being a Christian in Hollywood? Has it affected you? Has it affected relationships, or do you think that it just hasn't been that big of a deal for you?
I love that you watched the I Am Second video. That was
It was adorable.
Thank you.
You were you were 12?
9.
9, yeah.
Yeah. That was a big decision. I remember there were a lot of people who were not like against it, but just simply wanting to protect me when it came to that, because there had been a lot of stories of people being really open about their faith at that time, and like it just not going down well in the industry. And I was in Australia filming Don't Be Afraid of the Dark when it came out, and I remember when the video went public, and my mom was like, whew. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, because if anyone has a problem with what I'm saying there, like, don't, you know what I mean? That's just going to be noise, and like, it's fine. And from that moment forward, just was like, look, that's a part of my life. It's not me trying to put anything down anyone's throat. It's not me trying to, it's literally just, that's what I believe is what brings me love and joy. It's what I was grown up for. And I also have a platform, and if it can speak to somebody or help them find something, or encourage them along the way, or just bring them peace, like, I want to be able to do that. And so yeah, for the most part, I think it was good. And I mean, I think the hard part about it is you do get a certain group of people that are like, you know, I'll wear a dress on the red carpet where like maybe it's like, you know, the back is like a little too low or something, and they'll be like, oh, there she goes, like, I thought you were a Christian. And those are the comments that really upset me. Like, those things always kind of get to me. So there is, you know, you constantly are fighting that thing. But I remember I had a conversation with the mom at one point, and she was like, I'm so disappointed in you. And I was like, at the book signing. I was signing a book. It was like the 8th signing we had done, about 10:30 at night, all the way like in New Jersey, I think. And she was like, I'm so disappointed in you. And I was like...
That's all she said? Well, so why is she at the book signing
I
then?
said, well, because I was signing a book for her daughter. And she said, your last movie. And I had just been in a film called The Strangers Pray at Night, and it was the most proud that I had ever been about a film. Like, I had the time of my life, and I loved it. Like, I loved every second of it. And I already knew what she was going to say, and I was like, why? And she was like, well, because you cussed in it. And I just said to her, I was like, look, I said, for me to get to talk about things that I believe in, and for me to get to support charities and foundations and try to make this world a better, like, I'm given a platform. And I was like, and you know, trust me, I say no to more things than you know, like, on a daily basis. But I'm also, you know, now I'm 21 years old, and I get to act, and I get to play make-believe, and I get to be a part of projects that bring me joy and fuel me. And that in no way is an example of what my heart feels when I go home at night. And I think that's what people have to remember too, is, you know, there's characters and then it's you. So it's interesting.
And I think I've heard you talk about, you know, being trolled, because you've been called a prude as well. You've been called
every word.
Yeah,
in the book.
You can't please anybody.
No,
right?
no, you can't. No, you can't. I mean, I think that comes with it. It's funny. I go through waves where it like affects me, and then it doesn't affect me at all, and I'm like, I really don't care. And I think now that I'm getting older, you would think that when you're older, you're thin, like your skin kind of gets thicker. I actually think that it gets slightly thinner, maybe when you're older.
Well, when you get really old, it definitely does.
Yeah, the veins and everything. But I think it starts to really kind of affect. It does. It affects you, and I have for sure low nights. I think the pandemic for everyone was really difficult and really hard, and all you had was kind of your phone. For a minute, like when it was really, really kind of locked down. And I mean, I opened up TikTok the other day, and it was at like, there was a video at like 2.5 million views or whatever, and it was like, anytime I saw this girl's face, I just wanted to punch her. And it was like me when I was 7. And like, there's one reaction which is like, ouch, and then the other reaction is like, why did you want to punch a 7-year-old? You know what I mean? Like,
just talk to someone. Like,
you should really talk to someone about that. And so you go through phases where like you laugh about it, and you're like, whatever, that comes with it. And then it's like, then there's a part of you that wants to write and be like, I wish, like, even though you're behind a screen, you think that no one's going to see this and then it might get traction and be relevant. Like, I might see it and like I'm still human, you know what I mean? So would you say that to someone's face too?
No, yeah.
And I feel like that's the tricky thing about social media, that can be, you know, it's such a blessing, it can be such a curse, because you can say anything behind that screen.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm writing something right now that I want to post about it, because I'm like, the pandemic, I think it's hit. I'm like, we need to create a safer platform for people in all aspects. I think especially women too. I think and men 100% too. It goes both ways, but like there's got to be a better way to like clear out these systems and like protect it, not just for like people in the industry, but like for like my nieces and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and the people that are able to be on there, and you know, you can report something that's not that violating, but it gets taken down, and then you can report something that's really violating and it's not taken down. So I'm like, I think it's worth a conversation to try and figure out what we can do as a social media community.
So as a person of faith, and particularly in the Christian tradition, there's a belief that, you know, I think Bible teaches that there are things that God has specifically for you to do, for you to step into. And do you feel that acting and entertainment is sort of a calling and a purpose for you, or how do you think through that? Do you think you're made to do what you're doing right now?
I always say, like, I plan and God laughs is my saying. So, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I love this, and it feels right. And it has felt right since I was little, and I didn't even know how to comprehend what right felt like. You know what I mean? But it is my home, and I am so happy when I'm able to do it. Do I think that the purpose is for me to be on carpets all the time and like do magazine covers and shoot? No, I don't think so. I think that I would like to think that there's a part of this world in which I can help pave to make it slightly better. And I think that is it's kind of a two-handed thing. I'm able to do what I love, and through that, able to have a voice to hopefully, you know, help out on something or shed light on something, or make this world, you know, a little bit more gentler or kinder if I can. So if anything, I feel like that's the calling, but I'm able to do what I love to fulfill that calling in a way. So that's always in the back of my head.
Do you pray?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Do for sure. I mean, when I was younger, I prayed. I always say, like, faith is such a growing experience. You know what I mean? I think anyone who says like that they are like the most faith-filled person and like they've got to figure, like, they're lying to you. Like, there's just no way. And I think that you're always like growing with your relationship with God. And I've, you know, we've had so many conversations together, and you know, we've gone through things, and we've had a fight here and there, but like always come back, you know. But no, I mean, we're the family who prays, you know, before every meal, and you know, my sweet little nieces, I was over at their house last night, and you know, it's so cool to kind of get to see that same love that was poured into me, poured into like my little nieces, and how important that is. And so that's a big part. And I'm definitely the girl who gets on an airplane who's like,
That's right. You're all right. You're
turbulence hit, and I'm like, Jesus,
take the wheel, right?
Are you there? Please let it be okay.
What do you find yourself in this crazy year praying about a lot?
Oh man, I think I mean, when the pandemic first hit, there was just so much. I don't think any of us knew what was going on. I don't think any of us thought it was going to last this long.
I still don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's happening. I'm
talking to you through plexiglass.
I know. And it seems normal.
Right?
How weird is that?
I know.
Like, my mask is underneath me, and I'm like, I'm going to put that back on right when we finish this. Like,
I hate masks, by the way. We have to wear them, I know, but it's like, I just miss smiles.
I miss smiles, too. It's funny, totally to go back off topic, but I just wrapped up filming something, and it was one of the first productions to do it during COVID, and I never saw anyone's faces.
Wow.
I never saw anyone's faces.
So it was like filming Bird Box.
That's funny. It was just bizarre. It was just like the weirdest thing. I actually remember there was one moment where I was in my trailer. No one else was around. That's why this was able to happen. And they took off their mask, to drink their water, which that was allowed. So it was like 6 feet apart, you know, because you had to drink. And I just went, and the guy looked at me and said, "You have such a nice smile." And I was like, "I love your smile," because I had never seen it. And now, but you know what I like about it? Look at it this way. This is the positive idea.
Okay.
We took for granted so many things,
Mm-hmm.
like we just did. And I'm sorry, but if we can't come out of this thing like a whole lot nicer and a whole lot like more empathetic and aware and kind and like whatever, and appreciate moments, like we have failed at our jobs in this pandemic, you know. But it's like you always look at someone, you try in the moment, but there's so much busyness sometimes when you first meet someone, so you're not fully seeing them, you know what I mean? And it's like with the mask, you have to be looking at them in their eyes to be able to listen to them, because you can't judge by the mouth. You have to be in that moment. You have to be present with them. And then you're kind of like have this mystery of what do they look like? And then when you get to see them, it's like you immediately find a trait that you weren't expecting about them that you love about them. That you're like, "Oh my gosh, you have a dimple right here." Or like, "Oh wow, like that." I remember one guy had like this like freckle right underneath his eye, and I was like, "That is so cool." And he was like, "Oh, I've always been so shy about it." And I was like, "No, I love it," you know. And I think that there's something that if you look at it in that way, there's a beauty that might help remind us once we're all able to have these things off of our face again.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but praying for, I mean, frontline workers was a huge thing. I mean, I did a series on my Instagram. It was called Self Isolate with B, and I think it was really targeted towards everyone that was in the lockdown. That, I mean, depression rates have gone through the roof, and people that were in relationships that they were stuck in an abusive relationship and couldn't get out, you know, all those things. And so I really want to touch on them, but then also the importance of staying home. And so the prayers are always, you know, our frontline workers and everyone that are there. And of course, I'd be crazy if I said I wasn't like, you know, can this thing just like go away? You know what I mean? Like, can people not die? You know? And then the borders were shut, and the other half of my heart lives in the UK, so he had to go back, and so now it's like let the borders open, please, you know. And so that's like the joke.
Now, you mentioned the other half of your heart.
Yes. Yeah. My boyfriend lives in the UK, so that's been really fun.
Now we normally with guests who are married, we'll ask this question about what they would say to their significant other, but in this case, we'll say parents. You know,
Yeah.
What would you say to your parents watching right now that you don't say enough, but you would love to say?
Oh man, you know, it's funny. I flew home from my grandma's funeral a couple weeks ago, and had the most time home that I had since I could remember. And it was like I felt like it was just word vomit all the time of trying to say these things, and it hitting me how we all need to make a conscious effort every day, because it's not promised to anyone that we love to say how much we care and appreciate them. But no, like, I mean, my mom, my dad, they're the most beautiful people. I mean, my dad literally has mostly had to watch me grow up through a screen. And he's never once complained about it, and he's never once been upset about it, and he's only loved me and only wanted the best for me, and has been, you know, a father and a parent and a friend always. And my mom was like, you know, literally she dropped everything for me to get to do what I love, and traveled the world with me, and made homes out of hotel rooms, and carried Christmas trees and, you know, back exit doors to like fit it into, you know, sneak it into our hotel that we were staying at when I was filming to make it feel like Christmas. And so I guess it's just like from the bottom of my heart, thanks for seeing me in ways that I never saw myself, and I think for continuing to push me to be the best version in which you think I'm capable of being. But I know I love them though. Love you guys if you're watching. Love them so much.
Well,
That's
Miss
awesome.
Madison, as our camping trip, all good things must come to an end, and including camping around a fake fire.
We'll do this again though.
Well, absolutely, we'll do this again. But what are you working on right now? What's next for Bailee Madison?
I have a few things I'm going off to go and do, which I'm grateful for. With COVID, it's like, you know, everything's pushed or stopped, but we're figuring it out. But I have a film going on Netflix.
Congrats.
Thank you. Early next year. We filmed it in Nashville, which I love and it's a faith-based musical. It's the first one that's ever been done. So it's like a jukebox musical. So we're taking songs from Amy Grant and For King and Country, and we're kind of, modernizing them, and then also redoing all the vocals on it. And they've been really hands-on and like wonderful in giving us these songs. But it's a really fun film, and thankfully we found our home with Netflix, and it'll come out early next year. And I was able to, sing for the first time and dance in it. And
you wanted to be singers, so this is great.
I do so badly, yes. And
you and Meghan Trainor are going to cut an album?
I could never compete with Meghan Trainor's vocals.
They're
No,
not
but I
compete,
will
collaborate.
say she has been so great. Anytime I have to sing in something, I always call her. I'm like, Megan, how do I hit this? She's like, she's just you should see, whenever you see Megan, people should just bow down. Like she's the queen.
I feel like that's idolatry. I feel like we shouldn't bow down to anybody. What do you
she's
think?
amazing. Oh, I bow down to Megan all the time.
Really?
I'm like,
okay, so
Megan, I
worth
love
it.
you.
Okay.
No, because it's just one of those.
Okay.
You're amazing.
Wow. All right. Well,
You're the queen.
Miss Trainor.
She would hate it. She would hate it. But I'm always like,
oh my gosh.
the best.
That's awesome.
But no, it's a fun one. Yeah, and I was able to produce that, which was like the most hands-on I had ever been when it came to producing.
Congrats. Do we know?
thank
We
you.
know are we allowed to know the title?
Yeah,
yet?
yeah.
What's the-
So it's called A Week Away. It's gonna hit Netflix, which we're so thrilled about. And like the start of 2021, and it's with David Koechner and Sherry Shepherd and Kevin Quinn's in it with me, and then we pulled together this amazing ensemble cast of kids who have just kind of started, and then they kick butt in this movie. And then there's appearances like Amy Grant shows up in it for a second, and we have some like really fun little cameos from people who were able to thankfully get to bring their music to life in a new way.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
That sounds wonderful.
It's fun.
Well, we will all tune in, of course, and it's something to listen to while we camp.
Stream it.
Well, Bailee Madison, thank you for
Yes.
camping with us.
Thank you for having me.
So appreciate you. Stay
Appreciate
safe.
you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining us, folks. If you want to help us out, and we're confident you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel. And if you ever feel like just listening to these, you can check us out on all major podcast streaming platforms by just searching for I Went Camping With. And there, you should also subscribe. Thanks again, folks.